Getting to our livable planet future involves all of us. Our choices in our lifestyles do matter. What food we eat, how we travel, how we design our homes for their use of energy. And our landscaping matters too. 15% of carbon emissions are from our homes, so we homeowners matter on bringing these emissions down to cool us down. We share with you next a look at 3 homes in 3 counties in Northern California in the San Francisco Bay Area. For addressing how to make the biggest impact for lowering a home's carbon emissions to cool us down. First is a focus on going all electric in order to power the home with renewable power like solar and wind. If the setting allows, solar on the roof adds a benefit, especially if it feeds back into the grid locally. Some of us lease our solar panels to cut costs. Second, attention to water efficiency matters, since energy powers how water gets to our homes. Leak-proofing a home along with insulation adds to a good home envelope. Third, food feeds into this picture too. Less red meat, especially in the diet with creative plant-based meals filled with protein like mushrooms and tofu. Organically grown matters too. Eating organic means food comes from soil that is enriched with carbon, making it healthier for us while drawing carbon from the atmosphere too. Fourth, landscaping around the home that is climate-friendly matters. It creates healthy ecosystems for birds and bees and local wildlife. Before we meet our featured homeowners, let's discuss our choice of cars. Don't want to drive an electric car? Biofuel will be an option for both diesel and non-diesel engines. Currently, biofuel is sold for diesel engines as diesel number 2 and is 95% biodegradable. A third option, hybrids, which are now a growing popular choice. So our homeowners are Jeannie and Doug with their dog Xena in Vallejo, Solano County, John and Patty in Petaluma, Sonoma County, Polly in Danville, Contra Costa County. Let's meet Jeannie now in her front yard.
Well, we're just celebrating our 10th anniversary of living in this house. The first thing we did was get rid of the lawn. Everything you see here was all grass and that was irrigated. After the first couple nights we were here, we heard the sprinklers go on, and I was, what's going on? And I went out there and I put a stop to that as quick as I could. The county was doing a program to reduce water usage because of droughts that were even happening 10 years ago. They were giving $500 to homeowners to convert their lawn. We went on their website and got directions on how to do it. We did what's called sheet mulching. I got a whole bunch of bags of leaves from work. I work at American Canyon High School. We dumped the bags of leaves all over the lawn and then put cardboard on top of that, and then weed fabric, and then on top of that we put shredded bark, and then we cut holes to put in the plants. What we wanted to have here were everything low water usage, but we focused on natives, succulents, and food. This plant that you see right here is California ceanothus, and this is just one plant. I mean, it was this big when we first got it, okay? And you see how it's spread. You can see some rosemary, and then over here these are pineapple guava, so we get lots of fruit from the pineapple guava. We've got a peach tree, apricot tree. And a great thing about that peach tree that's right in front of the window, it'll shade during the summer and give fruit during the summer, and then shade for that window right there, which is a south-facing window. So that helps reduce energy use. And then it drops its leaves in the fall, and so then that allows for the sunlight to come through when we do want to have the heat there. So it's perfect. There's a California bottle brush that the hummingbirds just love. And then there's that really tall one right there is a sagebrush. Yeah, we have LED lights in the bathrooms. It was an investment. They're not cheap at all, but we bought sets of LED bulbs that go above the mirrors, and then we changed out all the lamps with LED bulbs. My husband Doug and I went all plant-based eating 6 years ago. And it was because of health problems that I was having. He did it too, just to support me. But within a few weeks, all my health problems had cleared up, and I was planning on just doing it for a 6-week period. But after the 6 weeks, we both had things clear up that we never thought were food related at all. And so there's no way we would ever go back. Since making the switch, finding out more and more about how environmentally sustainable it is, that meat and dairy just use so much more energy and land and water, everything. A lot more people would be able to be fed in a healthy manner if more people made the switch, or if everybody at least cut back on the meat and dairy. It would make a huge difference for the world, cutting back greenhouse gases as well as just having more land and resources to feed more people. We have a philosophy of never replacing something unless it absolutely needs to be replaced, or for energy conservation. So we did replace our shower head over here with low flow, but this is a second story and it takes a lot of time to warm up the water. And so we use this bucket here to catch the water. We use the bathtub to warm up the water, and then we take the bucket downstairs and we take it out and use it in the garden. We also, we did replace all of our toilets with low flow water. So the traditional ones take about 7 gallons per flush, but these use 1 to 1.5 gallons per flush. Almost all the furniture in the house is used. They're from, family members. It's not a perfect, pristine chair, but, we get a cover for it, and then it's fine. But to, toss it and then buy a new chair, this way you're saving a tree and all the resources that are needed to do that. A lot of people like to have new things, especially when they move into a house, but no, we weren't going to do that. As long as the bathtub was perfectly serviceable, and the shower floor, it's they don't look perfect, they don't look new, but they're fine. They're functional. We did have to replace the shower walls because there was a crack, and so that was the only thing that we replaced. We didn't replace the shower door, this gold stall, because it worked, and why waste natural resources when it's not necessary? We only bought maybe a couple of pieces of furniture, but just about everything that we have are from when Doug and I were growing up, or from our parents or siblings. You can see above the mirror the LED lights, and there was an investment. They are expensive, but the amount of energy you save really pays for it, and they don't burn out. I don't know how long they last, but we lived here 10 years. We put them in 10 years ago, and they're still going fine. Well, so many people think that energy conservation means doing without, but no, you can do everything that you need and just use less energy. So we buy appliances that are certified Energy Star, and to make sure that it is of that efficiency level, there's a seal, a little image that's right on the appliance that says Energy Star. It has a picture of a star, and that's how you know that you have an appliance that is going to do the same job that other appliances will, only use a fraction of the energy, maybe even 10%. of the energy that the other ones require. So let's see. Also, why buy a big tub of soap that uses a big big plastic bottle, and uses a lot of energy to transport it, when you can use laundry strips? So we buy a box of laundry strips that has hundreds of these. This is all it takes to wash one whole load of laundry, is one little strip of soap. And then instead of putting the laundry in the dryer, we use these racks, and we do have a clothes dryer in case it's needed, but for the most part we just hang them in here. We use a guest room for this when it's not being used, and we also use the hallway for this as well. You'll see also in this room the sun shining through. This is January, and but it's hot. This room is really warm, and that's because of passive solar design that this house has. So we have numerous south-facing windows, and they have an overhang where that blocks the hottest sun during the summer from heating the windows. But they during the rest of the year, when the sun is lower, then it allows the sunlight to flow right through and warm the house. So at night we close the shade, and that keeps the heat in. And we also close the shade in the hottest part of the summer days, when we're trying to keep it cool. So we use these insulated shades, and you'll see how dark they can make the room. This is my husband, Doug.
And this is Zena, who also is helping the environment by being a V-dog. That's where we get a kind of food for her kibble that is vegan food, and she's doing great with it.
She eats a lot better since we put her on the vegan dog food. She eats better. She has more energy, just like us.
And I guess I'm the main cook of the house. I make sourdough bread and pizza and whatever else, all with plant-based
Yogurt.
And making yogurt and who knows, whatever else. So it's and a lot of fruit and stuff that we raise here, and vegetables.
There were a lot of fruit trees here when we bought the house. I guess 4 fruit trees, but we added more. So we added the apple tree and pear tree, and then
the avocado tree, and the raspberries, and there's some thornless blackberry. We added those also, and another fig tree. While the older one gets older and older, we'll have a younger one getting in there to do that. Some of the native one, the toyon in this area, grows just everywhere, and it's fire resistant, but it's also great for robins and cedar waxwings who come seasonally in December, January. Haven't seen them yet, but they will devour the berries on their journey, and sometimes hundreds of them be out here, and you hear the sound of the robins. That's pretty cool. We also planted a live oak and a manzanita over this way, which are native plants, and we'll see how big they get. We take walks out there, and there is a place where there's a red-tailed hawk nest just about 50 feet from the fence. The owls, I'm not sure exactly where they are, but we can hear them all the time, the great horned owls. Of course, out there's coyotes, there's raccoons and skunks, and there was a mountain lion I saw once in here. So at night we're careful to keep our dog door down so she's not going out at night, because could be out there. And lions can go over the fence. Coyotes don't go over the fence at all. Foxes can't either. And those are the main problems that you'd have living next to a wild area. And a lot of eucalyptus trees, which can be a fire hazard. We're trying to create a barrier of toyon bushes, which are fire resistant, in between us and that eucalyptus, and hopefully that would help somewhat.
Our big project in 2020 when we had the lockdown, everybody had to stay home, was to build these garden boxes. So we're not handy people by any means, but we got directions for how to do it, and we ordered the lumber already sawed up, and we have a drill, and we got to work and built the 2 boxes. We had topsoil delivered and mixed with compost, and put those in, and the amount of food we get from these 2 garden boxes is just really incredible. Whether it's squash or basil, lettuce, spinach, just huge abundance of foods, and it doesn't use a lot of water when you have it in these enclosed boxes. We use really thick mulch also to prevent drying.
Then we use the worm box again. I haven't you talked about the worm box or not, but we have a worm box, and that adds good compost to our plants.
The house is heated with a heat pump, and it's an extremely efficient way of heating and cooling the house. We got it when we had to replace the air conditioner, and it was A1 Cooling and Air who came out in Vallejo, and they suggested, well, if you have to replace the air conditioner, why don't you do a heat pump that takes care of the air and heat? And they explained to us how efficient it was, and how you just would have better heating and cooling. And so we did that. It was a big investment, but it uses such a small amount of energy and lasts a long time. So it's, well worth it. The first thing we did when we bought the house, before we actually bought it, was arrange to have solar panels, because we didn't have that kind of money to outfit with solar panels, so we had that built right into our home loan. So we talked to a local solar company, and they gave us the estimate, and then when we did our home loan, then we just had that covered. So as soon as we moved in, then they installed the solar panels. So we spend very little money on electricity. In fact, most of the time we're able to generate as much or more energy than we use. But PG&E charges $16 a month just to cover the, just because they can. So
They want people to pay something.
So we have to pay for the privilege of providing energy for them. But anyway, that's most of the time, that's all we have to pay. We have 2 electric vehicles. One is all electric, and the other is electric gas. And when we bought the Nissan Leaf, then the charging station came with it, so they installed that for free. And so all of our driving is with our solar energy as well. So it's enough to go around town and everything we need to do. And for longer trips, that's when we use the gas.
And would you say you have an all-electric home?
Almost 100%. Yeah, the only thing that's not is the water heater, and that's next on my list to replace. And but yeah, once that gets replaced, then we're all electric. Natural gas it's had a really good reputation for being eco-friendly because it burns completely and doesn't produce a lot of carbon dioxide when it's burning. But what they're finding, though, over the last 10 years or so, is that that the methane does escape, and it does get into the atmosphere. And if it's combusted, then it's fine. But a lot of it is not combusted. There's leaks, and methane is one of the most powerful greenhouse gases. So it's best to replace that as soon as you can, and then generate your own electricity with solar or other renewable energy resources. That's the best way you can make energy and take care of the planet. As the droughts were continuing in California, we decided that a rain barrel would be a really good thing to do. We have these big roofs, and why let all that water just go down the gutter when it could be used for our irrigation? So, and we don't know how to install something like this, but a friend of ours is a handyman, and we asked him if he knows how to do it, and he said no, he didn't, but he could find out. So he went on YouTube, found some videos to find out how to do it, and then he installed these for us. We have one on each side of the house, so that way all the rain from either side of the house is getting captured. So it fills up, and then we have a hose here, and we can just turn let the water flow out, and we put the hose over. We use it to water the fruit trees. Sometimes or most of the time, if it's not going to be a huge rain, then we'll just leave it open, and we'll just put the hose over at a fruit tree, and then just let all the rain just go. And I think that's why we have such a huge harvest of fruit. I mean, you can see the orange tree just loaded with oranges. The fig tree, the peaches, the apricots. We just get tens of pounds of fruit per season, and I think a lot of it is just from this extra water that they're getting. Even if the trees don't need the water, still having that water go to where it's going to sink into the ground, and it helps recharge the water table. So and that is a big problem with urban areas, is so much water is just going down the gutters and then going out to the bay. But if we can use systems like this to recharge the water table, then that helps to reduce the problems from these droughts. It's really inexpensive. It was less than $100 for all the materials and paying the handyman to set it up. So they're really inexpensive, and this one was purchased for that purpose, but the one in front, the blue one, that one was reused from, I think it says Pepsi on it. So it's just, companies will use these for manufacturing, and then they don't need it anymore, and so they can be repurposed for rain barrels. The fruit trees, they're getting the water from the rain barrels, but the other plants, the natives use very little, but our vegetables, they do have to be watered a lot, and we use a drip system. So that friend who is a handyman, he installed our drip system for us, and so drip is the most water efficient way of watering plants, and then combine that with mulch, and plants really don't need a whole lot of water. Well, it's really a lifelong commitment to the environment. My family took me on a lot of camping trips, and I was taught to appreciate the outdoors. When I was very young, maybe middle school, I found out about baby harp seals that were being killed for their fur, and that just really just made me so angry. And then after that, I just started learning about what was happening with whales, and but then finding out over time about climate change and about how air pollution is contributing to changing of the climate and causing extreme weather events all over the world. And it's just so disturbing, so unsettling. And but really, there are things that we can do to put a stop to it. I mean, I've lived my life. It's not for me, but it's for you young people. You all have your future ahead of you, and you're the ones that I'm concerned about. I watched the Daily Show interview of Greta Thunberg, and the interviewer asked her, well, what can we do as just regular citizens? What can we do to help with the climate situation? And she said, everything. We need to be doing everything. And so I feel like that's what we're doing here. And it's empowering. Instead of being upset about climate and the environmental problems, doing something about it is what's it's empowering. It feels good, and it's making a difference. Right now, the LA area is in flames. Thousands of homes are being destroyed. People are being killed. That happened here a couple years ago. Napa fires, Santa Rosa, and when I was in school, we learned about how that we were on the verge of environmental disasters with the way we put out fires as soon as they start. But then with the idea of climate, that we're actually influencing our climate and causing extreme weather events, and now we're living it. So it's happening now, and it's not something to think about. This is going to happen in the future. It's happening now. It's affecting our lives, and it's affecting lives of people all over the world.
Let's meet Polly now in her front garden.
I moved into this home with my husband about 15 years ago. We're here in Danville. This is an arbor city, and the first thing we wanted to do was remove all the lawn. And we found ourselves interested in putting in 4 trees, and we were aiming for fruit trees or low water trees. So we have a Chinese pistache over here, and we actually put in 2 of those, and an ornamental olive tree and a pear tree. We put in a fig tree too. We removed the lawn space over here with making a quarry fine setting that added more privacy, since we formed a circular design. The rest of it has really what I've adapted over the years because of the hotter summers, since we're inland from the Pacific coast. We've learned which plants have done the best. And the corner was especially hard because of the afternoon sun. I found Pride of Madeira has really worked well. The Russian sage has done well. We have lipstick, which is a low water plant. And poppies come up in the springtime. Over the years, it's taken time to find out what the plants that have done the best. My plan was always to be pesticide free. It took a documentary called Food Incorporated that I watched in 2015, and by the end of seeing it and all the investment in this documentary, I realized it's time to get off meats. And that would include poultry, not just red meats, but all meat. And so I was eating a lot of lentils and gaining weight, and I realized, I have to do this in a more healthy way. Now that I'm a widow and living alone, I'm finding myself, let's do this the easier way and just have frozen food. So I have I have menu sources right in my own freezer. I can pop into the microwave. I'm enjoying eating some lasagna and tofu items. I can actually get eggs made from plants, a veggie wrap made with rice, and I love the spanakopita and mushrooms. I'm diving into putting more mushrooms into my diet, and especially when I go out to eat at meals now, I think a lot of our chefs are going in the direction of putting more mushrooms, and there's such a variety of them, and they really replace the meaty part that you want in a really hearty meal. So that's really great. I'm finding myself pursuing mushroom meals from this forks over knives approach to cooking, and the coloring of the food is so enticing. There are avocados, peas, very, very inviting meals. Yeah, eating organically is very important for all of us, and it's proven that organic eating actually makes the soil healthier, so it absorbs more carbon out of the atmosphere, which is why they're saying agriculture can help us cool our planet down. And if more people realize this, I think we would have a lot more people eating organic food. And I love what this organization, a nonprofit in Pennsylvania called Rodale Institute, created this healthy soil equals healthy food equals healthy people. I love that statement. I love to follow what the Seafood Watch program is doing at the Monterey Aquarium here in California. And you can see their list on what's more sustainably caught. And I recently learned that globally we're actually doing better than I expected, that 62% of the fish we eat is sustainably caught, which I think is a good number, and I'm sure it's going to be growing because there's a lot of concern about it. Yeah, so here in Contra Costa County, we're a very populated county, and I'm very proud to say that our waste management operation is pretty upscale on doing good recycling. They send us mailers on what the do's and don'ts of what go in each of our 3 bins, the landfill, the green waste, and the recycling. Their trucks even remind you we want clean recyclables. They made the month of July, maybe every year now, is going to be a plastic-free July. They're trying to get people focused on using less plastic in their lives. And I always put my composting in the bio bag, which I think different companies make this. But if it's certified, it's definitely compostable. There's some that are not, I've been told. And then I'm big on saving water with using eco sheets instead of having laundry detergent sent from a factory that gets sent to your home, and you're spending a lot of energy driving things filled with water when you can just use a sheet out of this packet and you got the laundry right ready to go. I buy all recycled toilet paper that's not cutting down any more trees. So this is 100% recycled bath tissue, they call it. Same thing with paper towels. Same thing with printer paper. This one is 100% tree-free, they like to advertise. So tree zero is the new expression. And I need to get more in a habit of making sure when I go around eating at fast food places to make sure I have my own wooden utensils instead of constantly picking up plastic utensils, which we don't need to have. I live in a home that is heated by heat pumps, and they have more state-of-the-art thermostats. And so the one I have here for my downstairs heat pump is called a Nest thermostat, and they can be tricky to work with. The heat pump that I've had more recently installed, they've improved it so it's much more people-friendly. But I generally try to keep the heat between 68 and 72, which I think is kind of considered standard for not overusing energy, being energy efficient. So the heat pumps work much like geothermal. So there's a unit that's outdoors in coordination with one that replaced my gas furnace. And the outdoor unit is pretty much like what the air conditioning unit would do, which is moving air. And so in the winter, you want to warm your house, so the heat pump is forcing the warm air into the house. And then the opposite is true when you want to cool the house. It's drawing the heat outside. So it's much more energy efficient than a gas furnace, and it's got no fossil fuel, the real advantage. And the reason why we want to be going all electric in our heating and appliance use in our homes is so we can be powered by renewable energy.
Let's meet John now in front of his home.
Well, we now have is mostly native plants here in the front yard. I've been on the Eco Garden tour a couple times to show it off. I even have a little video of that myself if you want to look that up. Doing the full presentation of all the species that are here. But about 20 years ago, the city offered a Mulch Madness program. And that's where they provided the cardboard sheeting to keep the weeds down, compost underneath it, and wood chips above it, and some irrigation parts to help convert to more of a drip system for those folks. Since I have a horticulture background and degree, I wanted to upscale that a little bit. So not only did I make mounds instead of being flat, I had little mounds, removed all the lawn, and then put in the compost, put on the sheet mulch, planted in all these native plants in a very nice landscape. I even hired an architect to help me design it out. And it worked out very lovely, and see, almost 20 years later, it's lush, it's green, and it's full of insects and lizards. I have bees, like 10 different species of bees that come and visit my plants here. So it's now a very living, live landscape, so we really appreciate coming out. And you can even smell some of the sages here, can have a nice smell as you're walking in, so it's a little aromatherapy as you're going in and out of the house. And as I said, mostly natives, and also for a lot of pollination also in here. Well, here we have what was a 4-range gas stove, which we used for several years. And then there's a new thing called induction stove that came, new technology that came about. And fortunately, we had Daily Axe, a nonprofit in town that worked with Sonoma Clean Energy. And what they did is they had samples they could actually borrow. So I was able to go to Daily Axe, borrow their cookware for a couple weeks, and we tried it out. And it says, well, we'll give it a shot. So I went ahead and bought basically the same unit, and it's just a single burner here. And put it down. We had to buy special pots, which were extra thick layer on the bottom, but they're higher quality. They're a little more expensive, a little heavier, but they're higher quality pots in general because they have a lot more metal in them, iron, because it works through magnetism. And it turns out it's so much more efficient than the gas stove. I can cook two things faster on this stove back to back than I can cook 2 things separately over here with 2 burners. So I found it to be much more efficient. You can boil water in a minute. So it's much more efficient. In fact, you have to watch it in case it boils over. So you have to stand by it a little closely because it goes fast. But it's really great for cooking everything. And we do 90% of our range work is now being done here on a single burner is all we really need because it's quick enough. We can actually do things back to back as fast as we used to do just having 2 burners going.
Well, recycling is very common now. It has to be hard plastic and of course glassware, cartons, paper, flattened cardboard. So you have to follow the guidelines, and then metal. So you've got your aluminum plates, and your aluminum has to be in a 3-inch ball. So you have to really roll it up. You can't just throw your aluminum in there. And then the cans, of course.
I started about 10 years ago, and when they first came out, pretty expensive, not very as efficient as they are today, so I got 1 or 2 and tried them out and realized I got more light, and the wattage was like, instead of 100 watts, it was like 10, 15 watts. So that's like 10 or 15% of the actual energy used to produce even more light than the original. I had CFLs throughout the house, also from incandescents. We had CFLs for a while, and then from CFLs, as they started to burn out or die out, I was switched to LEDs. We have 3 small little lights, but for 10 watts each. Provides a huge amount of light all the way throughout the room upstairs here. And then we have, I was able to find over time, this is like my second set of LED lights for the chandeliers. So they're a little bit brighter and a little bit more efficient now than they were years ago. So I went ahead and just upgraded a little bit. So to just find out a little bit better. And so as you see, we have 3 chandeliers and actually have more light now than I did with because these chandeliers are only rated at so many watts, like 25 to 40 watts per light bulb. But now I have more light with only 5 watts to 10 watts. So at 20% of the energy use, I have more light throughout. So it's much more efficient to have it this way. And even though the cost is coming down, the original costs were pretty high, but the cost now such that it's not that expensive. And then once you do the conversion and you go over time, the 10,000 hours of use, which is my lifetime basically, they'll be useful here. And over time, they'll actually pay for themselves multiple times within just a year or two for the energy use savings that you get off of them. So I found it much more efficiently, more light, less energy, less cost overall long term. So investment in all these things actually saves you money in the long term. The current construction requirements is all low flow. There's maximum flow rates on all your fixtures now as standard. But I was fortunate to take advantage of rebates from the city for the toilets, and I decided to go with the Toto brands throughout the entire house, the same ones, because I really like the way the flushing mechanism on these, why I bought them. I researched toilets. Turns out that the dual flow rate pushes on through, and so and the ceramics that they use were really nice with a cleaner finish on it, easier to clean, and so low water use and easy to clean, good flushing action all the way throughout. And this was able to design to get in as a small under counter, so there are various models. So, and I got a rebate, which almost paid for the installation of the unit. So both of those having lower flow units on the sink and in the toilets with rebates, hey, it's a no-brainer, just go do it. It turns out we decided to use a $0 down, and the panels are owned by, it turns out, Solar City, which is now Tesla, which they changed names. And so they own it, and we pay them money. So I'm only paying 16.7 cents per kilowatt hour for my solar panel for all the energy I pay them. But right now, if I had to pay PG&E, back then that was a pretty high price. I said, well, why would I pay more for 16.7 cents when it was down to like 13 or 14 cents from PG&E? Well, it turns out just within a couple of years, my son, which we just have the ADU, his base rate of tier 1 is 40 cents a kilowatt hour. And my tier 2, which if I added the two together, we push into the tier 2 level, is over 50 cents per kilowatt hour. And I'm only paying 16.7 cents per kilowatt hour. That's a huge savings for us long term. So my actual energy bill for electricity right now is between $50 and $70 a month. But that has to be reevaluated. So that's still one of the things we're still kind of make sure that we want to make it happen. But rebates as a city, I work with the city a little bit, and we're trying to make sure that between that and the Sonoma Clean Power, enough rebates come in to give the incentive so that everybody can afford to upgrade and go to electric. Because in several cities, areas of the city, all new construction, we're not going to lay down any more gas pipes to any new part of the city for development. It's all going to be electric, pretty much. I'm part of the Climate Commission on the city. We have 2 students from high schools that are participating with us. We also have student interns coming to our city and doing these things and working with the folks working on issues. So as an intern, you can go in and do things either for free or even sometimes paid in the summertime. You can, there's lots of, I know the Friends of Petaluma River just did an education program, just got some grant money from our health district, that, gee, they need folks to teach the younger kids. You could actually go in and do a pass down. That's one of the things that I was hoping to get accomplished that we didn't quite get there, but I know Friends of the Petaluma River goes to elementary schools. I'm part of Petaluma Wetlands Alliance. We have an education program for 3rd graders talking about wetlands and what needs to happen. So you guys could become part of that, either as counselors or working in through scouting programs and teaching the younger students about things and bringing them up. So your participation, just your hours, your time speaking, but on a one-on-one basis, but doing and helping others is really great. Then where I'm looking also at our school system as a new person who is part of, he's also a climate warrior. He's like an assistant superintendent. And he's out there and he says, okay, let's change. We've been trying to change our school system so that get climate action topics in every classroom with every single teacher, in English, in math, in science. So everybody is talking about it with the students, and everybody is on the same page as what is, what's not. So supporting that, getting your teachers to talk more about it in all your classrooms, even doing math. Where's the math behind all the stuff I'm talking about? Energy use to homes. What's the T24 report? How does that work? There's a whole mathematics analogs about what's that all about? How does that work? So learning those systems. And then there's the career pathways. I know our school system's working on career pathways, and environment and the green energy is a major pathway here within our local system. So join that pathway. And gee, you may get a job doing solar panels, or you may do some landscaping and architecture for doing habitat landscaping, not just pretty round bushes, not just flowers that don't feed the insects, but actually designing landscapes. So can you learn to do that and start off and push a whole landscape firm into doing more environmental landscaping? Even if you're working for the highway department, on the highway departments, can we put trees out there that are native, not from other countries? So finding careers, and it turns out that the whole green movement affects every single facet, whether it be in construction. In construction, I had a contractor come in here who helped me out, and how you handle your demolition, how you handle your waste is all critical. So if you get into the construction, even as a worker in the construction industry, can you make sure that your crew, make sure that you do the right thing? So it's all about everybody taking little bits of action in all the ways, whether it's school. And then in the schools themselves, we now have a team, we've got a grant at the school system, and we have a small team of students going, actually they're taking a checklist. How is the energy efficiency of every single school in the system here? They're looking at the buildings, they're looking at who opened doors, who's got the lights on, the air conditioning systems, the shading from the trees. Can you plant some shade? Like part of Relief is planting shade trees near windows in the school so that there's not so much heat coming in the summer times. When these students are coming in and they're giving out reports, oh gee, can we save money? How can we save money? Can we do these actions? Because the administration, the janitors, and the folks that are fixing the equipment, all the contractors coming in, sometimes they're not kind of working together on the same page. So the students are saying, let's work on the same page, and the students are saying, and talking to everybody, giving the reports out, hey, let's do this instead. And students are taking the action, and we're trying to get that down. The cafeteria is another example. All the waste that happens, you look at the campus, how much waste do you have in your food? How much waste of paper do you have being tossed on the ground? Where are you putting your trash on your campus? Is it on the ground, plastic? Rain comes along, floats it down the river, and turns into microplastic in the oceans. Have you changed that at your school? Have you taken action at your school first? Nobody's allowed to take a little candy bar, take the wrapper, rip it, and toss a piece on the ground. No, you're not allowed to do that. You got to take it and put it in the proper waste recycle so it gets moved away properly. Is the campus clean every day at the end? Can you help your janitors out? They're so busy, it's only a couple small crew working on your campuses. What if you spent the week like Fridays? Hey guys, we're going to help you out. We're going to form a team and we're going to help you clean up the campus at the end because it's our trash. It's not your trash, it's our trash. Can you go out and help pick up the trash every day? And after you do it and you see someone else and have a student tell another student, stop throwing it on the ground. Wouldn't that be helpful? So actions you can take yourself to do all these things on your campuses as well as supporting and actually saying, okay, we're going to regulate. See, these sprinklers are broken over here. I'm going to tell somebody about that. I'm not assuming that someone knows about it, going to take care of it. Take action on your campuses where you're at. Little things. Every time you can go out there, can you do one thing a day and take care of yourself? Of course, be healthy, change your diet, do things yourself, talk to your neighbors. Can you grow some plants, food plants in your front yard and give them away to your neighbors? Could you do that? Sure you could. Participate in the whole system, in the movement. This is what I would like to see the young folks do.
A new study from a leading climate scientist came out recently as this documentary was going into post-production in June of 2025. This study reveals that globally, we have only 3 years left to significantly lower our emissions. This helps us avoid crossing the 1.5 degrees of Celsius of global warming. That means focusing on doing our best by the end of 2028 to decarbonize our lives. Every fraction of warming matters. Words spoken by the lead author of this study. Our homes equal 15% of global emissions. Those of us in the U.S. are fortunate to have federal rebates on purchases to decarbonize our homes by going all electric. Most rebates can cut the cost of electric appliances by half to electrify a home. Find an HVAC professional for details on this. Every extra bit of warming increases the severity of weather extremes, ice melt, and sea level rise. The lead author of this study, as reported by the climate reporter for the BBC News, is Professor Piers Forster, Director for Climate Futures at University of Leeds in Leeds, UK. Next, our student team goes out into the community to ask questions and speak to their own concerns on our heating up planet. We introduce Maya, Natalie, Yahweh, and Nikhil. First, we meet in Napa with former middle school teacher Nick, now with Napa Schools for Climate Action and the Sierra Club.
My name is Nick Cheranich. I was raised in Napa, able to get away and travel the world. And actually when it was time to come back, like when I was 40, I hadn't gotten an education, so I went back to school, got my degree, became a teacher, and taught in a local middle school here for 20 years. Right, I taught 6th grade. You have to teach climate change every day. After retirement, I got into the Sierra Club and a volunteer for your Schools for Climate Action as well, an advisor. And now I'm the chair of the executive committee, and I do all the websites and the newsletters, and I'm the political chair. You know, there's only a few of us, so we have so many different hats to wear. And I have to admit, I will say that I knew nothing about environmental activism. I didn't know anything about the local politics, so it was an extremely steep learning curve, and I'm still learning from you.
Yeah. How did you surmount that learning curve at first?
Well, as a teacher, you know, you're forced to learn new things constantly, new curriculum. You know, it lasts for 2 years, and you're supposed to learn it on your own. So I had that background of something new, got to learn it. And I put hours into it, hours. And I was lucky enough to have some really smart people that knew a heck of a lot more than I did. And I just asked a lot of questions. We had 7 executive committee members, like water conservation subcommittees, constantly, you know, fighting against that encroachment and the increase in carbon emissions with that growth and loss of biodiversity.
What's it like running the executive committee? Like, is it a lot of work? You manage the student interns. What's that like?
Well, that's the fun part. The kids who really care and are putting in a lot of work. And I was the a mentor for the Schools for Climate Action. They had a dozen kids back then, students. And I asked a few if they'd like to do this internship program where we try to mentor you to do environmental projects, that sort of thing. A lot of this documentary has been about what you can do to lower your own emissions. I'm on 100% green energy for electricity. You have to have a mindset of, I can reduce my own carbon emissions.
This is my personal take on climate change. When a lot of people talk about it, they talk about like, oh, the world's ending. Like, no one tells us what 1.5 degrees, 3 degrees, 2 degrees is going to look like. Yes, I agree, it's going to be disastrous. There are going to be fires, hurricanes, floods, there'll be smoke, pollution. It'll be disastrous. But I do believe that the world is not going to end. Humanity will keep on living, and eventually, once things get worse, we will wake up, we will cut our emissions. It might be too late, but the earth will restore itself, and a certain amount of humanity will survive with it. I know that. Yes, a lot of lives will be lost, but I think humanity will keep going forward, even if will put a lot of our world in ruin. We're very resilient as a species, and the earth is resilient too.
And I think people like you will actually make changes. It is up to you to make those changes.
And you also have to like start small. Like, sure, it doesn't seem like it makes a little impact, but if you look at the whole thing, you're gonna be like frozen, paralyzed. So if you start small, try to see if you can change the sustainability, like how much people are sustainable for like 1 or 2 people. Then do a class, then your school, then your city, and it'll just grow naturally. Get other people involved with you, and soon it'll be this contagion.
Next, we talk with Liliana, a member of the Napa Schools for Climate Action team.
My name is Liliana Koresh. I'm a senior at Napa High School, and I've been involved in climate advocacy for about 4 years now. I'm actually originally from Moscow, Russia, and I moved to the United States in 2014 with my family. And I've just had a lot of experience with natural disasters, both in Moscow, where I used to live, and also in the Bay Area, specifically wildfires. And after I saw like all the detrimental impacts that they had on my community, that really pushed me to try and take action and try to get involved in all these organizations that were available in the Napa community. The school district resolution has been one of my biggest projects that I've worked on. And basically, I participated in the California Youth Climate Policy Leadership Program, which is available to all California high school students. And our capstone project was to initiate a school district board policy or a resolution that's focused on environmental action. And for me, I decided to make, because we have to, one of our other requirements was we had to make a coalition of students in order to get this piece of policy passed. And I decided to work with Napa Schools for Climate Action. And so we decided on creating a climate restoration resolution. And climate restoration is more of kind of a newer field, but it basically goes beyond just advocating for stopping our emissions and instead advocating for ways of bringing down CO2 from the atmosphere and utilizing nature's original methods to do so. And actually capturing the emissions we've already put out into the atmosphere, which is so amazing. You know, having our team be expanded to like over 10 very committed students now, it's been very amazing because that way I could like kind of split up the workload. So like how I mentioned previously, we have those subgroups of like the toolkit team and also the climate curriculum team, and that's how we're able to still keep those initiatives going. So that's been very awesome to see, and I think it's just so important to like have like a solid team of at least 10 students, because that way we always have amazing discussions during our meetings about like climate topics and how can we further our initiatives. So yeah, it's just been wonderful to get more student involvement, especially those who are very dedicated, because I know like I also run the Napa High Environmental Club and we have a big membership, but not a lot of them are very dedicated, so like not many people show up to the meetings, but it's very inspiring to see when people like prioritize Napa Schools for Climate Action and they like make time to go to the meetings and also make time outside of school to contribute to the other initiatives that we take on. After our school district resolution passed, we got in contact with Congressman Mike Thompson, who's the District 4 Congressman for California, and basically we connected with his legislative analyst in Washington, D.C., and he agreed to take on the climate restoration resolution and reward it to a nationwide kind of project. So basically that was just, that whole, like, him agreeing was so cool and amazing. And so after he agreed, we had a long email thread going back and forth about, you know, setting meeting times and like discussing how it would go. And over the summer, we met a lot and we worked on crafting the policy language because ultimately we had to make it plain language because the school district one was very intricate and there was also clauses where it was focused specifically on the Napa Valley community. But we had to transcend that to fit the entire United States. So we worked on that throughout the entire summer of 2024, and ultimately the language was finalized, I believe, in September, and Congressman Mike Thompson introduced it in November 5th, I believe, of 2024. A word of advice, I would definitely just kind of like along the lines of what I said previously, make sure that you know what is available to you, what kind of opportunities are available, and always take advantage of them. Because I know coming from a place like Moscow in Russia, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to get involved like in such a field like climate advocacy is not very big there.
It's a little niche.
So coming from that background and then coming to California and seeing like everything that's available here is just so incredible. And I just think that it's very important that, you know, you assess kind of what's like available in your community and you take advantage and never get intimidated, because all of these environmental organizations are so excited to just like see more people come in. Like they will never turn anyone down. So I think that's one word of advice. Just always take advantage of everything that you have and never take it for granted.
Liliana shared the 3 points from the resolution read in Congress in November 2024. 1. Protect seaweed, which helps natural carbon sequestration in the ocean floor, called blue carbon sequestration. 2. Use limestone as an additive to concrete to absorb carbon. The 3rd point, fertilize plankton in the ocean, which would fortify the food chain, helping marine life cope better in their warming environment. Next, we meet at the Italian Mongiami restaurant in Danville with owner Peter.
We opened in 2008. We were meant to be a takeout restaurant. So this was our first portion of the building. Everything was very different here. It was supposed to be more of a grab and go kind of process. And so we had cases where we had like put our sauces and pastas and handmade stuff. And the first night we opened, it turned out that everybody sat and wanted to be served. So it was a large departure. I hadn't hired technically servers. I had people that were more ready for counter service. So the restaurant really evolved over a period of time and turned into a dine-in restaurant. And we expanded the patio slowly. And then ended up adding the second building up front when we grew out of our space. We're very well known. We've been here obviously 16 and a half years. I would say we're kind of like a local favorite in town. And how have we evolved? You know, I think the evolution just was organic in its approach. You don't know what you're going to get every day. You know, reservations, maybe we were an only walk-in restaurant for many years. And then as technology changed, we changed our process of taking reservations. So it's changed a lot. But I've been lucky. The head chef has been with me since the month before we opened in 2008.
Nice.
So I think I was raised a little differently. My mother grew up on a farm, on a ranch. And so I grew up sitting at my grandma's counter. And we would go in the back, and everything was a large garden, and she'd pick her fresh fruits, vegetables. We had fruit at every meal that came off a tree, or out of the ground, depending on what it was. So I think that the style of cooking I grew up with, yes, there were meat sauces and things involved, but it always had fresh produce and fresh vegetables. It was just part of every meal, always. Yeah, I mean, so everything we make is cooked to order, with the exception of like the lasagna, which we obviously make ahead of time and then we heat. But each of our dishes, nothing is pre-prepared. So our customers, we always say, if we have the ingredients in the restaurant, we'll make you whatever you want. There's no restrictions on our menu, and we don't mind substitutions. A lot of my wine list are Italian wines, and Italian wines, typically they're way ahead of our growing process. They're sustainable, biodynamic, organic, gravity-fed when they're producing and crushing. And that really is a huge focus in Italy. A lot of places don't do that here. They also, a lot of the wines, you know, they have caves. They're kind of similar to some of the stuff locally in Napa. So the chilling process isn't using air conditioners or chillers to keep the cellars. Yeah, it's a very, very different process in Italy. And that's really the bulk of my list.
A couple years back, California mandated that restaurants compost all their food waste. Like, how was that? Like, was that hard for you to like a change to deal with?
We had been doing it for years before that, so the mandate was really no change for us. So, like when our dishes go into the back, we scrape all the food into a separate bin. It's really kind of that's something that we've done for years because the service was free. Why would you not do something that's smart and environmentally friendly when you're not even paying for it? They're doing it as part of the county process. So we had absolutely no transition period on that.
And this is just like where you put the waste in the bin, then you put in like the green waste or like the yard waste bin, and the city collects it, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, so actually the garbage company does all of that.
Oh, that's so
in
cool.
Danville. Yeah.
What else? Do you have like the industrial compost with like the compostable forks and like that's like those compostable forks and cups? Or do you just not need it? Because like this is like if you say most people dine in, you don't really need a lot of plastic unless it's like for takeout.
It's only with takeout. And so the takeout, and these are made out of corn.
Oh.
So, you know, I mean, like everything, none of these are products that would actually, and I think the deli-tainers, those go into recycle bin. But all of these are, I mean, like if you put a hot item in one of these, you will watch it melt because it's not real plastic. I made some really interesting changes this year. What you may or may not notice is I do not run our HVAC system for 6 months of the year.
Wow.
So because the kitchen makes enough heat in the restaurant, the door is open today, but we don't normally do that. This is our heater for 6 months of the year. So and if you see my PG&E report, it's only been this is my second year doing this. We've cut our electric usage down substantially. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you have to remember, like, okay, we're cooking already. We're producing heat. But the great news is like the refrigeration that obviously is necessary to maintain food also makes heat. So I just I was looking at my PG&E bill and I kept seeing and I thought, what can we do differently? And literally, I shut the breakers off and I haven't turned it back on yet, and will probably won't happen for another 2 months. I think for us, we like to maintain the types of food and vegetables that we have, and we offer our customers the option more. Rather than like editing a huge amount of the menu, we become more flexible with options for the ingredients.
And you can always like encourage and educate while still offering your traditional dishes. Because like, as an environmentalist, you don't need to be perfect. You can always have meat every now and then, as long as like a goal you strive for is sustainability.
Well, and our demographic here has changed substantially over the last probably 8 years. And so as you see the demographic switch, you see a lot more people who are vegetarians. Less vegans, but a lot more vegetarians.
Yes.
That's been a consistent change that we've noticed.
Next, the team interviews Napa classmates John and Maddie on their climate concerns and interests.
I'm John Fontanella, and I go to Jesuit Siena High School in Napa, California.
I'm Maddie Chu. I go to Vintage High School. I'm a senior there, also in Napa, California.
I'm really into farming, and I've done a lot of research into regenerative agriculture, which it's kind of like permaculture in a way, where it's a method of farming where you're kind of working with nature a bit more. And so, it kind of involves, certain ways of kind of maybe incorporating more soil life into plants. So one of the things people will do in like permaculture is they'll reduce the amount of tillage they do. So by reducing the tillage, you can basically build more soil aggregates where bacteria will thrive. So you're basically building soil biome. Another thing you could do, in permaculture, is crop rotation, which you're basically switching around where you plant certain things, in your space. You could also graze as well. If you have, some people will use sheep. I know vineyards in Napa that will use sheep to basically graze their land, and it could help build soil health as well. It's almost as a way of naturally building more nutrient-dense vines, because instead of having to apply synthetic fertilizers, it's more organic. So with mulching, as you mentioned, mulching can be a great way of preserving water. So by adding mulch, for example, like in this garden space, for example, it would help preserve the amount of water in the soil. So, if there was a drought, the mulch can help to keep the water, like the soil, so moist. And so it can help just plants, still have an ability to capture water even in times of stress, in a drought, for example. And it could also keep sweet pressure down as well. With mulching, you also just gotta be aware, like you might need to maybe every year put a new layer down, because it decomposes over time. And actually the decomposition process is good in a way, because it can actually develop mycorrhizae to build underneath the chips, the mulch, and that can help with building soil microbiomes. So, building it up.
I'm not vegetarian by any means, but I don't eat that much meat, I would say. My mom does most of our grocery shopping, all of it. She is pretty big into eating organically. We usually make our weekly trip to the farmer's market, and sometimes I'll accompany her and she'll get like fresh produce for throughout the week. And we also get to support like local farmers, which is good. I think the main thing that got me into climate action as I am now was the 2017 fires, 2020 fires. Just a couple of my friends had lost their homes in those wildfires, and so just hearing about how they had to either rebuild, find somewhere else to live, go live with their family for like a couple months, a year, however long it took to find somewhere else to live, was just really emotionally impactful. And so over time, learning about how climate is related to these things that have happened locally has really gotten me into climate action. It's why I joined the environmental club at my school, and then finding out about Schools for Climate Action through my environmental science teacher. Just working with these environmental groups has been really fulfilling, because I feel like I have the power to make a difference in this sphere. My peers in Schools for Climate Action, my friends at school who are passionate about the climate, about the environment, just looking at people around me who have this sense of responsibility and concern for the natural environment, for the world we live in, just pushes me to want to work with other people, because after all, it's like everybody's planet. We only have one planet, and so we all have to work together. I think if I have to name specific people though who I look up to, or I guess are like figureheads of their movements, I guess Phoebe Barnard. We worked with her in Schools for Climate Action, and she's also putting together a film series about climate restoration, which is one of our big projects with Schools for Climate Action. I never got to personally meet her, but I've been following her on LinkedIn for some time, and so I see her posts about all the work that she's doing up in Washington, working on that film series, getting the word out about climate restoration. I'm planning currently on majoring in environmental science or some sort of climate and sustainability track. That is subject to change, obviously, because we all have so much personal growth to do as we move through life. But I think at the very least, even if I don't end up going into, I don't know, environmental law or climate advocacy as a career per se, I'm still planning on trying to do everything that I can to make my life, encourage other people to live their lives sustainably.
Next, Natalie and Yahweh talk about leading their student clubs dealing with climate action.
I go to Justin Siena in Napa.
I go to Monte Vista High School in Danville, California.
I think we both run environmental clubs. Mine's called SEA Plus, or Students for Environmental Action. That's an acronym.
My club is called Climate Action Now. It is an environmental club. We work on increasing recycling, increasing diversion rate at our school. We want to increase compost and reduce waste. That is our entire goal of our club.
That is so cool. Did you start it yourself?
No, I did not actually. So I joined the club just as a normal member my sophomore year, but then junior year I applied as an officer. That's when I met the president. She was super nice and she brought me in, and then I was quote unquote like the recycling officer for the group or for the club, but it was kind of like liaison between our club and our area's compost or recycling company. We partnered with them and we worked with them throughout the entire year to reduce waste from our school and increase recycling because they gather the recycling and make use of it. So they wanted to help us increase recycling, and then we wanted to increase recycling in our school. So like we had similar goals, so we just worked like year after year.
I was given little to no guidance. I started this on my own, applied for a club my sophomore year. There were like 2 other kids who wanted to start like earth clubs, though they had different ideas. One of them wanted to do it about like health and disaster preparedness, the other wanted to do nature walks. And so the school made us merge, and so we worked together. So far I've been like, though we're technically co-presidents, I've been like the central leader. It's like entirely student run, so I have to be like, hey guys, do you want to have a meeting? Let's meet. How about you?
Well, I guess my guidance just comes from the last president of the club because she handed off the club to me. So if I'm ever wondering something, just in terms of like running a club, then I ask her. But when it comes to like climate action ideas, I kind of just do that myself. We have community like school events, but when it comes to like long-term projects, we have like a small team of people that work on it together. Like for this, you know, obviously we have our group.
I'd say mine's the same. A lot of our members are my friends and my sister's friends. We get stuff done. I follow the model like Liliana, who runs the Napa one. I introduced this documentary project to them, shouted it out as an opportunity. And next week for Inclusion Week, we're going to be hosting an sort of like thrift shop item swap where people can bring in like their old clothes, gadgets, etc., and trade them in and like swap them. And then we're also going to have a table at our local Earth Day festival.
Next, Nikhil talks about smart fashion.
I've always been into fashion, and thrifting is something I like to do with my friends. You know, we'll go out to like the city, and then we'll go to thrift stores and try on clothes and buy clothes, and it's a really fun activity. It's also very good for the to be sustainable because like you're repurposing clothes, and I think that's something that's very important because we have millions of pounds and tons of trash in the ocean. And a lot of that is through like the microplastics in our clothes and stuff. And we throw away like we throw away thousands of clothes every single day. So, and it's very important to repurpose things. And the best way you can do that is go thrifting. So people will drop off their old pants or old shirts or old jackets at these thrift stores, and then you can pick them up for pretty cheaper than you might be able to find like online and stuff. And they fit. Most of the time they fit pretty well, for me at least. And they look awesome in my opinion. And it's like really good for the environment too. I also like repurposing clothes. So if I don't have pants that'll fit me right, I like give it to my friend or something, and he could fix the pants. And like if I have a tear in it, or if I want to have like the legs be a bit wider if they fit it too tight, and that's really good because I don't need to go buy a new pair of pants if my pants don't fit me. I can go have someone repair them for me or something like that. So I can buy some pants and keep them for like years after that because I just keep on repairing them.
For sure. Yeah. I think definitely before there was kind of a stigma around thrift shopping and secondhand clothing.
Yeah.
Like it was out of necessity, but the past few years there's definitely been a big rise in popularity, and it's definitely more normalized. So do you like have any opinion on maybe why it became more popular, like fashion changes or anything like that?
The growth of social media, like fashion on social media, has definitely popularized thrifting a lot more. Now everybody wants like those nice like worn in type of clothes or like vintage type of clothes too, and that's kind of how the style kind of shifted from like that, like Hollister or whatever, like those types of brands, like mall brands, to like thrifting and like being kind of more genuine fashion as well. And like the most genuine fashion is the clothes that other people have worn. Just based on like the style that's been popular these last couple of years, thrifting has definitely gone up in popularity as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And kind of shifting gears a little bit, with your environmental club and your climate advocacy, what are some influences that have led you in your kind of journey of that?
Yeah, so I've kind of always loved like nature and like going outside. I used to live in Southern California, and you know there's a lot of fires that happen there too, and earthquakes as we're in California. So you know I've seen like fires get like really close to my like neighborhood or like my friends' neighborhoods. Seeing that, it kind of affected me a lot. I wanted to do something about it because like that's really scary. So I started off with like our club doing trash cleanups. And I've also always loved like tech and like science and stuff. I've been trying to get into environmental engineering too, because I think that while it's important to understand why like things happen, like which is the environmental science part and like the environmental action, also like making big changes such as like like creating more solar panels or like more efficient cars. Like that's also another big part, and that'll like another solution to the big problem of climate change.
Next, John and Natalie talk about the effects that nature immersion walks have on them.
So I'm Natalie. I'm a junior at Justin Siena. I do a lot of environmental activism and care about the environment, but especially nature. I love it.
That's amazing. And I think definitely just appreciating nature is a big aspect in actually caring about it. So, kind of, what do you think the importance is of like actually spending time in nature? How has it helped you in your love for it?
For me, I'd say it helps my mental health a lot. Like even this morning, I woke up, I was really tired. My mom wanted me to take 2 laps around the house. We have a really nice yard. It was just really pretty and peaceful. Like, I just find solace in nature. Or like, I've taken trips to like Maine or to even the desert. And I don't know, I just feel like when I'm in certain places, maybe during the golden hour, I just feel a connection with the earth and a love for the earth.
That's amazing. John?
Yeah, so in regards to what Natalie was saying, like being out in nature and being solace can, scientifically, it can be a way to improve your mindfulness. So it can make it more, it's almost like a form of meditation when you're out there. It makes you, kind of settle down, kind of reflect, and it can just improve your mental stability. And also too, it can improve, when you're out there in nature, you improve you can produce more endorphins in your body, which can help your, in the long run, can really help your mental, your physical health and your mental health as well. So, yeah.
And I think especially kind of since we're in the age of like technology and we're definitely in a younger generation, we're always kind of glued to our cell phones. That's what my parents always say, glued to our cell phones, stuck on our screen. So I think definitely nature immersion is really important. And do you think it's like possible to kind of be a climate advocate if you're not spending time in nature?
I guess it is possible, but spending time in nature it makes it more genuine.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, to be a good activist, you need to, as my mom would say, get in the muck. Like, you need to get on the dirt, you need to do good stuff for the earth. Actually, I have a funny story about that. He, being one of the loyal members of the environmental club, sent me this service thing through Napa's Resource Conservation District, where we went down to the river back in November and cleaned up like trash out of the dirt there, like out of the mud. And it was honestly disgusting. But to care about the earth, you need to do sometimes the unpleasant stuff. You need to be a steward of nature. And I learned a lot from it. Like, I even wrote an article for the Sierra Club newsletter about that. Nick loved it.
Oh. That's amazing. Do you guys have anything else to say?
We should talk about environmental service a bit. Like, You've done like the oak planting, you've done like the weeding of the French broom, that riverside thing.
Yeah, I've done I've done internships, involving environmentalism. Like I'm doing an internship right now in Sonoma, and we've learned a lot about horticulture, but we've also done some work doing ecological restoration. So last summer we were we did some French broom removal in Sonoma County, and I got to learn a lot about why French broom is like can be dangerous to wildlife. We were in like a woodland kind of area, and one of the things is they're a fire hazard. So I learned a little bit why they're not safe to the environment. So if there was a fire, for example, they're really woody, and so what they can do is if there's a fire, the fire can catch onto their branches, and then it could probably go up into like a tree, and then it could spread the fire. So there's that, and they're also invasive as well, so they're not native to California. So I've gotten experience doing ecological restoration and doing the oak plantings.
Yeah. And that stuff is kind of fun. Like me, him, and one of our other members, Ryan, went to this one at Westwood Hills Park near Browns Valley, and we like had to take these French broom and like rip them out of the ground, and it was exhausting but worth it. And there was also an oak planting at Alston, and me and a couple of my friends showed up, and it was such a good time. Like, it connects you as a community. Nature brings people together. Whereas as some people, like your mom might say, technology brings people apart. Though I would personally say it does both.
For sure, and I feel like definitely you guys actually spending time in nature makes the problems more real. You actually see that, especially with the invasive species, it's definitely real. You're actually removing it, so that's amazing.
Yeah, the nature reminds you of the impermanence of it all, the importance of respecting it and not taking it for granted.
The team was fortunate to meet with Marin Clean Energy at the first event connecting with college students. Sebastian of MCE gave us time to talk about what Marin County has done since 2010 to advance renewable power locally in 4 counties now.
So I'm Sebastian Kahn. I'm our Senior Community Development Manager at MCE. And MCE is a not-for-profit public agency. We're the first community choice energy provider in the state of California. And we give communities the choice to have their residents and their businesses have up to 100% renewable energy. Our default product is about 60% renewable, and we've been doing this work since 2010. I've been with MCE for 5 years, all in a community development capacity. So in my role, I work primarily with local governments, helping them with the resources that they need to implement their climate action plans, and also community engagement more broadly. So working with nonprofit organizations, with community groups, educating them about the benefits of community choice energy. So in 2002, there was state-level legislation called Assembly Bill 117, and that enabled local governments to come together and purchase energy on behalf of their communities. So that's how MCE launched in 2010 through the support of local elected officials, dedicated municipal staff, community advocates. We decided that there was a better way to procure more renewable energy for our communities. And we launched in Marin 2010. To this day, we serve 38 cities, 38 communities across the Bay Area, and we're really fortunate to serve over 600,000 customers. And what we really did at MCE was help start a movement of community choice energy in California. Today, there are over 20 active CCAs like MCE, and 1 in 4 Californians receive their energy from a community choice energy provider. MCE provides energy and customer programs to Marin County, Solano County, Napa County, and Contra Costa County, and in total there are 38 communities that MCE serves. So our energy is 60% renewable, primarily coming from solar and wind throughout the state of California and the West Coast. We also have 100% renewable energy option for customers that choose to opt up and go to that next higher level, and that comes entirely from solar and wind. We do have a number of local projects, so we have about 48 megawatts of projects throughout our service area where local developers can sell energy directly back to MCE to serve our communities. And we're really proud of that. All of our projects over a megawatt in size for our solar developments also require a battery storage component. And that's so important because when the sun isn't shining, we need a way to capture that energy to use in the evening hours and when peak production comes up in the state and we need more renewable sources. MCE is always looking at new, innovative ways to give our communities the most stable and renewable energy that we can. And so we're looking a lot at green hydrogen, at battery storage, at any number of different technologies to ensure that our energy grid in California is renewable and reliable for our customers. I mean, if we look at California, the most renewable power is coming from solar. So some other goals that MCE has are ensuring community equity. And what that means is making sure that low income or historically underserved communities have the opportunity to engage in a clean energy future. Another main goal of MCE is ensuring that we have customer programs to best suit the needs of our communities. We have rebates and incentives for things like weatherization, making sure that on a hot summer day, your home is staying as cool as possible. We have resources for small businesses to make sure that they're staying as energy efficient as they can to keep the energy as affordable for their business as it can be. And we have a number of programs for electric vehicle rebates, because we know that outside of the energy generation sector, one of the most polluting sources is the transportation sector. So we need to ensure that electric vehicles are both equitable and accessible to our communities. So community choice energy providers are unique in that we don't have shareholders. Typically when you think of energy, you think of a private corporation who is beholden to shareholders and needs to recoup a lot of profits for that stakeholder group. At MCE, we have a board of directors who's made up of local elected officials who are accountable to the communities we serve. And for me, that's so important because I want to work at a place that has the community's best interests in mind. And at MCE, we do that day in and day out. So we're here at Contra Costa College today. It's our inaugural Because of Youth Festival. And this is an opportunity for young people across our 4-county service area to engage with MCE, to learn more about climate action, to meet a number of nonprofit organizations and local cities that are doing climate action work each day. We know that young people are an important stakeholder group because they care about climate, they want to make an impact in their communities, and this is just a great opportunity to bring that collective action together and work to combat climate change. We have a paid internship program at MCE as well, where young people can get real hands-on experience learning about climate action and working with practitioners, whether that's folks on our customer programs team, our public affairs team, our energy procurement team. Really, there's a lot of staff that go into providing energy for our communities, and we know that there are a number of young people across our service area who are interested in that as a potential career path, and we want to provide those opportunities.
Finally, Maya and Yahweh talk about visionaries in the San Francisco Bay Area.
So, I heard that you're also into climate advocacy. What kind of things have you done?
I've worked with Napa Schools for Climate Action, and we mostly advocate for carbon emission reduction and removal from the atmosphere, and that's probably one of the biggest things that I've worked on. We'd like to make our communities, and especially the younger generations of our communities, aware of the amount of carbon emissions that we're putting into the atmosphere and the urgency of how much we need to take out by 2030, and that's a really important date for us.
It sounds like you're into policy making or really long-term goals.
Yeah, for sure, and that's definitely really big things. And I know you're definitely talking about reusing, recycling, and one important thing that reusing, recycling, combining that with reducing carbon emissions is renewable energy. And I feel like there's a few visionaries definitely in the Bay. I think we had a few that we wanted to talk about.
Mark Jacobson, he's a well-known person. He's a professor at Stanford. He does environmental engineering, but he also has a book that he's written. I like his work because he wrote 50 blueprints for all 50 states of the United States of America on how we would reach 100% renewable energy. I don't know if you know, but he has his website, an interactive map. It shows countries globally, and then when you press on the country, it shows when the country plans to be 100% renewable. And then he also has a blueprint for every country as well. He splits it into categories like offshore, onshore, wind farms, or rooftop, solar, things like that.
That's pretty amazing that he still is in the Bay and he teaches at Stanford. And I think he wrote a book called No Miracles Needed, and could you kind of tell me what the biggest takeaway you had from that book was?
I think one of the biggest messages about his book was that we actually don't need any more technical development in order to reach 100% renewable energy. We have the technology that we need. We just need to push policies and push taking the steps towards renewable energy.
And I think that definitely goes to show how all of our interests, especially individually, we all need to come together to make really impactful change. Because when it comes to your reusing, recycling, when you combine that concept with more long-term policy work, being able to work with people that have different focuses in environmental advocacy, I think that definitely that's when real change happens.
Yeah.
Another example I think you wanted to mention in the Bay Area was Sean Marshall, who is the founder of MCE, and we actually got the chance to talk to somebody from MCE. Is there anything you kind of want to talk about that?
Well, I don't know. I think MCE is a amazingly built nonprofit. They do a lot of climate advocacy, but also renewable energy advocacy, and they provide a lot of energy to, I think, nationally, right?
I think they said when we did this talk to the person from MCE, they serve 4 different counties and 35 different communities, providing them with renewable energy sources.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I think it's amazing that it originated in the Bay.
And Sean Marshall actually is a
co-founder of MCE, and it's a local not-for-profit agency that really provides us with the resources to go up to 100% renewable with our individual power.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool to find like you don't have to be somebody super special to start, I guess, the journey towards renewable energy. And just because someone chose to stand up now, there are like 4 participating counties, like you said, 32 or like 30 plus participating communities. And I think that's just the step that we need to take. We need everybody to want to help. And then that's how we're gonna eventually get to completely renewable energy.
Yeah, and I feel like recognizing that these visionaries are people that they aren't extraordinary. You don't have to be bigger than ever to make real change. They started in the same communities that we did, and we can take our passion for that. And any teenager that's passionate about climate advocacy or environmental justice, they can just take their passion and make the same impactful change that these visionaries made.
Yeah, and the things that you've done at your school I also think are super impactful, and it shows that single people, we could only do so much as one person, but if a community can come together, or if especially multiple communities can come together, we can make a huge change.
Of course.
The team hopes all of you joining us feel compelled to be an example in your neighborhood, in how you design your lifestyle in your home and beyond. Reaching out in your community to find more ways for building resilience into it. We encourage you to take this journey with us. Reach out to us if you want to share your personal goals and initiatives you suggest locally with community leaders. Email us at office@betheexample.info. We are here on the journey with you.
picture scheme, just where we all fit on the big screen. I poured through books, looked at scholars throughout time, agreed with their conclusions. It's so sublime. It's about love for you, it's about love for me, it's about love for each of us in the collective we. It's about love for you, it's about love for me, it's about love for each of us in the collective we. Now I'm no philosopher, I take things come what may, not looking too far ahead, too far behind. I'm living for today, and this is how I see it. Everybody's got their individual moods within a funky, free-flowing you and me attitude. It's about love for you, it's about love for me, it's about love for each of us in the collective we. It's about love for you, it's about love for me, it's about love for each of us in the collective.